It's recording.
Hey.
What day is it?
It is Thursday, June, I don't know, 28th maybe?
29th.
29th. We're in Cottage Grove, Oregon, sitting on the porch of our fancy-ass yurt, ready to get into some deer.
Like a deer in the headlights.
Exactly. We saw one last night on our way back up to the house, eating flowers. We also saw one on a hike with my mom.
And we've been on that hike before and we've never seen deer.
We haven't. And then we also saw one on the side of the road on our way, alive, on the way here, on the side of the freeway.
And I saw one dead.
Oh, is that what was
in
dead?
Colorado.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Let's begin.
All right. Deer. You run like a herd of luminous deer, and I am dark, I am forest. You are a wheel at which I stand, whose dark spokes sometimes catch me up, revolve me nearer to the center. Hovering in the full moon's luminous path between above and below, stepping lightly forward between here and not here, while gazing back over its shoulder, this shimmering white deer bridges the earthly and the spiritual realms, embodying and leading us into the symbolic, intermediate realm of the soul. With its velvet coat, soft moist muzzle, brown eyes glistening beneath long lashes, and slender delicate limbs, it seems the deer's very nature to symbolize purity and sublimity. A pair of deer is often depicted flanking the throne of the Buddha, who is said to have incarnated in a previous life as a honey-voiced golden stag whose mission it was to calm the passions of humans lost in despair and lead them to the eightfold path. The deer's graceful caution, elegant leaps, sudden appearances, and swift disappearances link the animal to the alchemical Mercurius, the transformative intermediary soul substance, as well as to pilgrimage or initiation paths that are circuitous, indirect, constantly shifting direction, or, like the deer, disappearing altogether. The occasional mysterious hoof sounds we hear in the brush along the meandering way belong to a hidden creature that teaches us to tread our path with calm reverence for the unseen and unknown. The stag is revered worldwide for its tall, annually renewed tree-like antlers, symbols of fertility, rejuvenation, rebirth, the ebb and flow of spiritual growth, and the passage of time. Stags shed their antlers every winter, and each spring they grow back with an extra branch, clearly exhibiting their age and waxing strength. By autumn they have lost their antlers, soft velvet, and are ready for the rutting season. The loud barking grunts, bellowing roars, and clashing antlers of competing males can be heard for miles, fostering their reputation for virility, as the triumphant stag might mate with as many as a dozen does. After a long winter gestation and spring delivery, the hungry doe will slip away to graze, leaving her curled-up newborn safely odorless and motionless, hidden by its dappled camouflage in the tall grass. Later, the fawn will follow her out, learning to browse, explore, and hide in plain sight. Unlike other ungulates, like sheep and goats, with their hierarchical and therefore dominable nature, the more solitary, elusive, and territorial deer, unwilling to breed in confined spaces, is not easily domesticated, commanding our awe and respect since ancient times. From the Paleolithic era to the Industrial Age, deer provided humans with a principal source of food as well as clothing and tools. The prolonged pursuit of this gentle animal awakened the hunter's intuition not only of the ways of the deer, but of the surrounding forest. Hunting societies from ancient Europe to medieval Japan and native North America acquired such a profound experience of the deer's movements that the belief was born that the creature could travel from one world to the next in a graceful bound. The Celtic lord of forest beasts, Cernunnos, adorned with leafy antlers, collects the souls of the dying and escorts them to the underworld, accompanied by the hunting goddess Lydes, who, like her Greek counterpart Artemis, rides in a deer-driven chariot. Legend tells how pregnant does swam to the island of Artemis, known as Mother Deer, to give birth, while she transformed the hunter Actaeon when he dared spy on her bathing, into a stag to be torn apart by his own hounds, linking the deer to the mysterious passages of birth, death, and transfiguration. Indeed, there is an unconscious equivalence between hunter and hunted. In a Christian legend, a stag enters a thick forest in order to draw the soldier hunting it away from his comrades, so that the stag can hunt the hunter while he hunts, finally confronting him with a crucifix miraculously sprouting between its antlers. Thus, the hunter and the hunted are secretly identical. The seeker and the spiritual goal, as well as the pathway to it, are one and the same.
Thoughts?
It's a lot of being sort of like aloof and being hidden, but also just like being in plain sight and feeling switching between the two, like being in plain sight and being hidden. And it talks about like being in between realms, transitionary type of like animal. There's a lot of like ebbing and flowing, like moving between this and that, and doing it like really gracefully.
I feel like I can't really make too much out of all this because it's like a little bit too complex for me.
Okay.
It gives me more of an indication of like spiritual growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like searching for something that you weren't aware was searching for you, or that you are aware is searching for you, and so you want to confront it. Like the deer is sort of this. The deer embodies spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Like the deer has symbolism of other aspects, but all those aspects live within the realm of spirituality.
Maybe not like consciously, but do you feel you're like identifying with them?
It's hard to say. Like I'll have to think about it more because I feel like with things that I'm like drawn to or like admire, I don't think of it as like I'm perhaps subconsciously or consciously identifying with them. It's more of like I like to look at them. I like to be around them or like see them. Or like my first thought is like I want to get a tattoo of that. The symbolism behind deer, like the in plain sight kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then just like even with like the tooth dreams, like I'm like drawing it and I'm like interested in it, and I've like looked up deer just for fun, and I've seen deer and it's like it's in plain sight, and I'm not looking to understand what that means.
Yeah.
Because that's not like what I've been trained
to
think like.
Yeah.
But there could be like this like worldly message for me.
Right, that's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I'm like open to a form of spirituality that is like when things are so consistent, like it could mean something, but it's like I've never been around people or like my family that like values those sort of messages.
Right.
So I'm not thinking of okay, let me do a deep dive and think further about this.
But I feel like that's naturally where you are. I feel like that's naturally what your tendency would be to do. Because you do think more deeply about things very naturally. But maybe when it comes to, like, I don't know.
I think when it comes to, like, yes, you're right. Like,
You know?
I do. Like, I always have to, like, could watch, like, a comedic movie, and I'm like, where were the hidden messages, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to, like, stuff that's happening for me, because it's, like, in a sense, in plain sight.
Yeah.
Or, like, when it comes to, like, my life, like, I am not trained to internalize it and, like, piece it apart or, like, scan it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been more responsible for, like, other people.
Yeah. Or I've taken that responsibility on.
Yeah. Both, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel, Grandma?
Yeah. And now I feel like you are really looking a lot closer into your own life and themes and meanings.
I'm feeling good.
Like I'm not working to have the other side happen.
Why?
If it's happening with so many people, like I'm the common thread there. And it's not just like everyone's the same and nobody wants to hear from me. It's like, you know, there's something that I'm doing that's like making that happen. And
which is important to recognize.
Yeah. I really feel there's something about it's like aloneness and like just floating about. That's like a big draw to me.
Do you like value that in yourself?
Yeah. I do, because like to a degree I've always been that way, but like when I was younger I was more concerned with, I was always like anxious about everyone else's like well-being, and it really like didn't help mine, you know? It wasn't helpful. Like it got me and them nowhere. Just if I was like around like anyone really, not even just like my super loved ones, could be anyone. It could just be like some guy I saw in the corner, like I'd be like thinking about it forever, you know? And I think like releasing some of that has allowed me to like float around a bit more, you know? And I don't feel selfish because I still very much care for everyone around me and will do my part, but I'm not going to be as consumed by it. Like I can still be like independently moving around.
Yeah, and I think that like I've told you a lot, like one thing that I really, amongst a lot of things, admire about you is like you just like find joy in like very small things and are just content. Like you feel very content to me. Whether you feel that way or not, that's how it comes off. And I think that has a lot to do with it. If you're not worried about other people's opinions or what they're doing and how you can fix it and like how to problem solve for people and how to make sure everyone in your life is like okay and making sure everyone in your life knows you love them. It's just like your interactions like say enough and you have your boundaries so that you can live in this way that I feel like I admire. But also, when you do see the people that you care about, or when you have the opportunity to care about maybe a stranger, I feel like you'll take the opportunity if you're not overwhelmed in your own shit. So that you don't make your shit worse.
Yeah, right.
And also, I feel like people that you're close with and know you, like, feel good around you.
Thanks, Lover.
You're welcome.
It's okay.